Dating with children can be very challenging. You're a single parent, you're dating somebody, you both like each other. He knows you have kids, maybe he has kids. And once you're exclusive, how do you navigate a budding relationship when you have children in the picture? In today's video, I'm going to cover everything you need to know about dating with children. The first thing you want to do is prepare your kids when you're ready to date. How do you do that? I recommend sitting down with them when you're ready to date again. Have an honest and open conversation with them. Set clear boundaries with yourself first about what you will and won't do in terms of having men sleep over and introducing the kids to the new people that you date. It can go something like this. I'm getting ready to date and I want to talk to you about what that means for you. I will not introduce you to anyone I date unless it becomes serious. If it does get serious, you and I will talk about how you would like to meet him. Nobody will ever replace your father. Do you have any questions or concerns? I'd like to know what's on your mind. Now, of course, if you're widowed and somebody is going to be their new dad eventually, that's a little bit of a different story. So create your script and sit down with them because you want to talk about what their fears are, what their concerns are. My kids all had different approaches to my dating. Some of them were very accepting, some were really resistant, but I did not introduce them to anyone unless it became serious. So you've got to figure that out before you even go on your first date. And if you're currently dating, I suggest that if you haven't had this conversation yet, go ahead and do it. The next thing you want to talk about and want to do is know how and when to talk about the kids that you have with the people you date. A lot of people just talk about their kids way too much when they're dating. And I recommend that you do mention that you have kids, but don't discuss very much about them when you're just starting. You're getting to know each other, not each other's kids, which is also why I don't recommend that you have pictures of your kids on your dating profile. They're not dating your kids, they're dating you. Yes, it's a package. You all come together, but they're dating you. You've got to know each other first. After a few dates, if you think the relationship has potential, you can share a little more about your children, but keep in mind that if the relationship doesn't grow, he will never meet your kids and he doesn't need to know much about them. So don't disclose all the secrets and the wounds and the hard stuff until you're really exclusive and in each other's lives. Now let's talk about when to introduce your kids. So again, this is an individual preference. You need to decide for yourself. My recommendation is to wait and see if the relationship is stable and it becomes exclusive before you introduce your kids. It's really traumatic for kids to meet every man that you date. They can easily become attached and hurt if and when you break up, or they just don't want to meet these people. They can have their opinions, and we'll talk about that in a minute. Let's talk about some issues that can arise when you're dating with children. Number one, if he doesn't get along with his kids. This is something that you want to look for when you're first dating somebody. Does your date have kids that he doesn't see or take care of on a regular basis? And they usually disclose this pretty quickly. My kids aren't talking to me. My ex-wife is a horrible person. She took the kids away from me. So you want to discuss this. You want to know what his situation is because it's concerning if he doesn't have a relationship with his kids. And I would consider this to be a deal breaker in most cases. Number two, if your kids don't like your new partner, talk to your kids about why they don't like him. Get curious and listen to their concerns. Don't get defensive. If they have valid concerns, listen and address them. If they just need more time to get to know this man, set a timeline that works for both of you. Like you're not going to say, well, I'm not going to ever have him over again until you're 18 and they're 12. You may need to spend time at your partner's home for a while longer until your kids are ready. However, if your kids are more uncomfortable around your partner than they usually are around new people, it's a red flag. If their discomfort lasts longer than it usually does around new people, it's also a red flag. So there may be something scary about this person to them. Pay attention to your kids' concerns. But if it's just that they're protesting because they want you to just be there for them or something else, then it's important to address that. If you don't like how your partner parents his kids, that's another concern. Speak with him about your concerns, but do it gently and with curiosity. You're not there to school him, but he's been parenting his kids for a long time and you're an outside observer. Your parenting style is probably going to be very different from his, but if you see something that concerns you, then you have a right to say something. Like if it feels really abusive in some way, then you have a right to say something. And that is a red flag. If it really is something where he's controlling the kids in some way that just feels off. Another concern is if your partner doesn't like or mistreats your kids. And I've seen this happen too. This is something you need to watch out for as you get deeper into a relationship with somebody. He may criticize your children or mistreat them in some way, and that's unacceptable. When it comes to abuse or mistreatment, trust your gut. While there are some situations where you might be overreacting because they're your kids, or you're really not 100% sure, most of the time your intuition knows when something is off, and I want you to trust it. The next thing is, what if he tells you how to parent your kids? If he's mansplaining, what if you mention something that happened with your kids and how you dealt with it, and your date tells you how to parent them better? Whether he's a parent himself or not, unsolicited advice in any form is a boundary violation. If you ask for advice on a situation, on a single situation, it doesn't mean that they get a pass to offer parenting advice without you asking on every situation after that. So pay attention to that and say something if he's giving you this unsolicited parenting advice. Another concern is if he doesn't want to be a part of your kids' lives. The two of you should discuss what role you see a man playing in your kids' lives. Some men are going to be honest from the start that they don't want kids and they don't want to be a parent to somebody else's kids. If your date doesn't see any relationship with your kids at all, that's a red flag. Even once your kids are grown and they're on their own, you're still going to see them for holidays and weddings and the birth of grandchildren. And that's at a bare minimum. You're probably going to see your kids a lot more than that. Keeping a separate life from your kids is going to make that relationship very difficult, whether the kids are at home or grown. The role he plays in your kid's life might be big or small, but there should be a willingness to be part of their lives. The next concern is if he has a contentious relationship with his ex-wife. If his relationship with the mother of his kids is unhealthy in any way, and whether that is she's too close to him or she's manipulative, it's going to be challenging. There's going to likely be drama around the kids. The mom, like I said, might be controlling. She might be manipulative. Maybe he has trouble setting boundaries with her. Maybe their divorce doesn't have healthy boundaries. This is something to look out for and address early on, or your relationship is going to be wrought with issues. The next concern is if his kids are unkind or disrespectful. This can cause big problems in the relationship unless he's willing to set boundaries and prioritize having you in his life. I have seen too many relationships get destroyed over this, where as soon as the kids ask for something, he drops plans with the woman he's dating. This is unacceptable, especially as if your kids are older or it's not a reasonable concern or request from the kids. I have seen it where the kid goes, I have nothing to eat, go bring me some food. And he was supposed to be with his girlfriend that night and he just left her hanging. That is really not okay. So address this as soon as it happens and be clear about the boundaries that you need to make the relationship work. These are just some of the things that have come up in dating with children. Getting back into the dating scene can feel a little bit intimidating if you have kids. There is so much to think about and watch for, but these tips are a good starting point. As long as you put your kids first and you find somebody who does the same, you'll be a good parent and ultimately you will have the best relationship you can have.